good? Hello, hello everyone. Let's see. Can you see me? Can you see the picture? All right, I'm sitting down. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Come on, computer, work with me here. In just 1 second, I will be able to see what you're saying, and that will be because that is very important to me. Live. And okay, so you've got a view of the snow outside. Hey, hello. Okay, I can see all what you're saying. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. All right, just move my drink over here. At the very end, before I go, if anyone wants to stick around, yes, lots of snow. Today is Ash Wednesday, and while I am no longer Catholic, my entire family is, and of course that's how I was raised. I do find there are things about Catholicism I like, but there are also things about Catholicism I find very interesting. And so at the end, I'm just going to take 5 minutes or so and just tell you about something that's in this book. I don't know if you've ever run across this book. It's not huge, but I've had a hardcover of this forever, and you can tell from all the highlighting that, yeah, big fan. Amazing. This is an amazing little book. So anyway, we'll get to that. But we are here for tarot. And I am here. Will Trump contract the coronavirus? That would be karma. That would be interesting. Okay, so wonderful, wonderful people. Someone got upset at you in chat. Oh, goodness. Okay. But I am here. All right, I'll ask, will the coronavirus affect Trump? Are people being mean on Sienna's channel? That's crazy. She's like the nicest person ever. Let's see here. Well, coronavirus affect Trump. Okay, any other questions? Gathering the questions. Give me the questions. She is Canadian. I wish I knew what Trump ate. Vegetarian Indian food. From what I heard, he didn't eat any of it. Okay. Oh, is Sienna here? Okay. I'm not getting any questions from you guys other than, will coronavirus affect Trump? So I will start there. I'm going to go with Old Faithful today. Ye old borderless Rider-Waite. Hope Hicks, is she actually a spy gathering info? I have read on that. No, is what I got. No. But oh, okay, so we're gonna, it's coronavirus, day 2. Okay, sure. Coronavirus in the US and coronavirus affect Trump's presidency. Okay. Taxes and other Supreme Court rulings. what and when the outcome, that's an important one. Last Sunday, the 23rd, starting at basically 15 minutes, will the conservative Supreme Court justices vote for Trump, bend over backwards for Trump, and then will SCOTUS allow Trump tax oversight, Trump's business and tax information released, all that. So yeah, if you go back to Sunday, it should be there. Shortages of supplies. Okay, I'll include that in coronavirus in the US. I heard Deutsche Bank records coming out mid-March. Oh, I hope so. From your typing to God's ear. Yes, good morning to everybody. And again, thank you so much to our moderators. You make this possible. There is no way on God's trolled earth that I could do this without your help. And I'm grateful. All right. Let's just start with coronavirus in the US. And then we'll, will Trump get the coronavirus? Or will coronavirus affect Trump's presidency? Well, we'll just start with coronavirus in the US. Now we're starting around 7. Okie dokie. Coronavirus. Just trying to reach out for that energy. Yep. And I've got the energy because the energy is just, it doesn't care. It can't see, it can't feel, it just replicates. It just does its thing. It just exists, it just, yep. It doesn't know the damage it does. It just found a way to replicate that works. So I'm gonna tilt this back down so you can see the cards, hopefully. Our cases in Italy have slowed. 300 yesterday, 320 today, so that's a slower rate than it has been. Oh, that's excellent. That's good to hear. So, yeah, coronavirus came in the U.S. if, it came here from overseas. That's pretty straightforward. Card for the reading. In the past, didn't our Secretary of Health, and is it Health and Human Services? Wasn't it a woman? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a woman. Anyway, who was like an MD. Okay, so that's what I've got. That basically the under Obama, competent, on it. Okay. Center of the reading, we are reading on the coronavirus in the U.S. and trying to get the message out. But it feels like I'm being drawn to the very sharp edges of that sword. So you have to be careful what you're saying, or people should be careful what they're saying. And I know that, I think if you watched any of my videos, I am not a fan of Trump personally, but actually him saying everything's under control, as much as he said that because he's not taking care of it. It's the right message if you're actually doing everything you can. So, happy birthday, why baby. Base of the reading. Possibility of quarantines and limiting travel. Just there's a lot of fear. There's just a whole lot of fear on these cards in this reading. Okay. Above the reading, the possibility of it affecting trade and business. Okay, near future. Coronavirus in the US. Well, this actually feels like the government has stockpiles of medical equipment, more than we think they do. Excuse me, I need to cough. So put that up there. And no, I don't have the coronavirus. I just did lots of exercise this morning, so I'm just clearing. My lungs are just clearing out, like they do. But this feels like the government having more supplies than people are worried about. You know, they have warehouses and they have caves and they've got stuff stored. So they're double checking all of that and repositioning what, if you know, just in the possibility. It's one of those, just hope for the worst, hope for the best, plan for the worst. So, home environment. Okay, we need to talk. Okay, look, I know I'm just a reader on YouTube, and I'm not trying to give anyone medical advice or tell you what you should do. And never listen to anything any reader says more than it just being, you know, something a friend would say, and you just take it on board, okay? The amount of fear around this right now is completely overblown. Seriously, thank you. This is not the medieval plague. And we have, you know, back before we even knew what bacteria was. There are so many people who die every year from the regular flu. It is nasty. It can kill people, Salome. I understand that. But it will tend to do, it's like just a really nasty strain of the flu. The elderly and immune compromised are most at risk, yeah. And yeah, there's so much that goes on in the world, and I understand it gives news people ratings, and yes, we do need to, you know, just be a little bit more thorough in cleaning your hands and washing your hands, and when you come home and, you know, get out your, I don't know, Clorox disinfecting wipes and just, you know, wipe down your doorknobs, or you know, you just do basic stuff and be just a little bit extra. There are treatments for the flu, none yet for the coronavirus. Deb's saying they are trying to scare us all so we don't vote or don't go anywhere. I read on that yesterday too, or the day before, and it was that they're not doing that on purpose, but the media is blowing this completely up. So the energy I am feeling off of this Wheel of Fortune is it's oh my gosh, this is fear that, oh my gosh, it's the end and everything's going to break down, and you know, this is not 28 days later. Really? The Spanish flu did kill millions. It did. And this isn't the Spanish flu. So, yeah. So I understand people are upset. I understand people are worried. But this is bodies in the street levels of worry. And it's not that bad. Seriously, you're not going to, wake up in a month and go outside and be, what's his name, at the beginning of 28 Days Later, where you're walking around London and it's just, nothing. It's, beg to disagree. This is more like the Spanish flu ended up killing over several. It's worse. You think it's worse than the Spanish flu, really? I'm glad I'm here today. The point of my channel is to help you guys sleep better at night. So let's ask, is this worse than the Spanish flu? Is the coronavirus, is its effect, is the coronavirus worse than the Spanish flu from 100 years ago? Is this modern coronavirus worse than the Spanish flu? Okay, you see these cards? You're on a tarot channel, so I hope this means something to you. It doesn't have to be your be-all and end-all. Do take care of yourself and your family. But I just asked, is this coronavirus, is it worse than the Spanish flu from 100 years ago? Do you see the tower? Do you see the devil? Do you see the thief card? You see some either some generosity, which is that, giving to charity, but you have all of these people. I mean, what it feels like is more people staying home and watching Netflix. But it feels like it's flanked by the king. It feels like this is the center of it, and it's flanked by the King and Queen of Cups. And that's people being emotional, but they're not panicked. And then we've got Temperance, and this really does feel like people just sitting, just like after 9/11, there was a lot of nesting. People stayed home more. There may be some of that. But I'm just... Okay, what did Violetta say? I just saw something. 2 waves of it coming. Grocery stores with empty shelves. Shortages because of China. Some dark motive behind that. I have not picked up a dark motive in all of my readings on this. It's less deadly but more transmittable. I read on this, and I've read on it for days. I just don't get horrible energy and horrible cards when I read on this. Violetta said people would not go out to vote. I love Violetta. Seriously, I adore that woman. But no reader is 100% correct, and I'm not 100% correct. So I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here. Is this coronavirus going to stop people from going out and voting in a significant way? people are watching the stock market. They're watching the news. This is debating. Okay, it should be all right. Maybe I should stay home. Maybe I should stay home. And then you see something on the news, and it's like, no, I've got to go out there, and we've got to do something about Trump, and we've got to get the best person there about Trump. And in the end, you end up with people going out voting for Democrats. This was not just the election. This was primaries too. At least that's what I was thinking. All right, so I'll finish this coronavirus in the U.S. But seriously, I understand that there's a lot of fear out there, but I have not once pulled the really horrible cards on this. Why, baby? You've just won the interwebs. Vote blue no matter the flu. That is awesome. That is awesome. Hopes and fears. See? Hopes and fears. When in danger or in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. It's just, no. What we see. Well, trying to get reliable information. And we certainly aren't getting reliable information out of China, but that doesn't mean, that's the ending in Y. Final outcome. Final outcome. I don't want Trump to be successful, but again, not seeing the tower. Not seeing okay. Is there a hell no, not Trump box on the ballot? Oh, how I wish. Okay, well, let's ask. Does Donald Trump get the flu? Or the coronavirus? There's a fantastic Robin Williams joke where he was talking about deadly diseases. He said, we could just test things on, like, if we want to, find someone who, survivors, that kind of thing, we could just give it to Keith Richards. And he did a Keith Richards impersonation and said, oh, well, it doesn't go with my E. coli. But he was fine, Anyway. Will Trump get the flu or the coronavirus? Oh, that's a good question. Will the Republicans quarantine Democratic areas? Actually, I don't think this is a full reading. This is a 5 card. This isn't a overloaded Celtic. Will Trump get the flu, the coronavirus? I'm not getting that. I'm getting other health problems. And my stomach just turned. And also getting that if he did, he would just disappear into the residence for a few days. He will not let people know. He will not show weakness. He's afraid of judgment. He feels he has to appear strong all the time. He's a strong man. His orange coating is repellent. Mary Kay, you have also just won the interwebs today. It's like an ancient joke from Mystery Science Theater, where there was it's watching one of those old biblical kind of story movies, and there's a leper colony, and there's a leader, and then something happens, and then there's like a revolution going on, and one of them says, "The lepers are revolting," and the other person says, "I'll say." It's like, okay, that's just really bad. That's just really bad. It's not people who have leprosy, it's not their fault. But the wording. So Trump's orange coating is repellent. I'll say that I'll agree with. People with leprosy, it's not their fault. But the peasants are revolting. Yes, they could wash a bit. Yeah. My daughter has perfected the weird way Trump stands. I love that. Okay, so will Republicans try to quarantine Democratic areas? All right, why does my heart chakra suddenly itch and hurt? That's weird. Seriously, the energy, it's the panic is just, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Will Republicans try to quarantine Democratic areas to stop people from voting? Why can I so easily imagine Stephen Miller having this conversation with someone? You know, after he uncurls his toes from the rafters in the White House and jumps back down and goes down, flaps his way downstairs, and it's the worst thing ever. Yeah. We know they've done gerrymandering, voter purging of voter rolls, on and on and on in the past. I'm just getting, it feels like the King and Queen of Cups, it feels just like medical personnel. Center of the reading, Trump. Mr. I can do anything. Base of the reading. Fear. Real fear on the Republican side that they're going to lose power. Real fear. Above the reading. Yeah, just more the heartbreak and grief, and we have to do something, and desperation. Near future. I feel like I need to see the final cards. This is part of a message. I think let's see what's in the final outcome in a minute. But first, let's look at home environment. Nancy would have something to say about that, and I can easily feel her and Schumer and everyone just up in arms on Capitol Hill about that. Hopes and fears. Yeah, Republicans are really afraid. What we see, we're not paying attention. Trump's doing all kind of stuff right now, and they're not covering it on the news. Just not. All they're talking about is the Democratic candidates and the coronavirus, and that's it. Final outcome. No, they won't. Bum, bum, bum. We're busy, Democrats are busy fighting amongst themselves and have this big, the worst of the panic. This is horsemen of the apocalypse kind of thing. And I wonder if Russia isn't start jumping on this to cause panic, to get on social media or get on wherever and start trying to make things look worse than they are. I don't know. Final outcome, they're hoping to rely on their base, but their base of support is aging out, and it's causing them a lot of worry because they're afraid that the country's going to swing so far to the left that what they're used to, what they want, will never happen. So I don't think they're going to. So there is that. Will Trump have a breakdown in public? I'll ask that. Now this is a question I would be asking. If I was just doing this for myself, I may have asked, coronavirus in the U.S., but most of this other stuff I wouldn't have even thought of. But will Trump have a public breakdown? I mean, worse than he already has. Let me just do a little bit of shuffling here. This has gone so far, I feel despair. Trump has the SCOTUS in his pocket. Not necessarily, Salome. When your voters are dying, that's a problem. Yes, Gary. Susie, you're not alone, that your intuition is saying don't trust Bloomberg. Trump is probably, yes, more dangerous than any virus. I actually would lean toward agreeing with that. Worse than his normal circus. Yes, Mary. Oh, yeah, Justice Thomas's wife. Oh, yeah, I've been meaning to read on her. What is her, do you guys know her first name? I can't remember. Virginia, huh? Ginny. Virginia. First we're going to look on, is Trump going to break down in public? Or just completely just go so far off the rails that everyone's just sitting there with their jaw on the floor, worse than normal. I'm trying to call down some extra protection. Okay, because the energy, Trump's energy is bad. So bad. Is Trump going to have a public breakdown? Well, we've already gotten the message of what he's like, but okay. In the past, in the past, he's had more of a ability to make decisions about what he would say and not, but things have gotten worse. This is a human level someone who thinks they're king of the world, but they actually aren't. Yeah. Base of the reading. His aides desperately trying to get him to be quiet. They don't succeed, but desperately trying to get him to be quiet. Above the reading. His base loves that he's a straight talker. What they call a straight talker. Near future. There are going to be some Democratic victories. I'm not sure about what, but there are going to be some Democratic victories, and he's going to, he's going to go kaboom. Not literally, not like setting off bombs or anything like that. This just feels like some kind of Democratic victories of something that just push him. How dare they? Home environment. He fights with everybody. He's irritable. He snaps. You have to constantly walk around laughing at his jokes and hopes and fears. It's rise of the Democrats. The Democrats taking power. What we see. The beginning of, hopefully, the Democrats taking power. Okay. Final outcome. Oh, we already have so many examples. So many examples. Temperance, I'm surprised. Really? I understand if there won't be a breakdown, but is he actually going to become more temperate? Is that what you're saying? Really? I'm not sure I would believe you, cards, but I would feel a little skeptical. Oh, investigations. More investigations. Like the state. New York State investigations. All right, we already have so many examples of him being that way. What's going on with this temperance card? He's petty. And what these cards feel like is that Fox News, if you think it's bad on MSNBC or CNN, where they're just showing Democratic candidates going after each other all day long, it's 10 times worse on Fox News. Trust me. And they are hate watching. All the liberal media and the fighting among, and that's what Trump is. He's like, it's entertaining for him to watch the Democrats go after each other. So this temperance isn't so much him being temperate, but him being like mollified, like entertained. So he's convinced that I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure he's convinced that he's going to win by a landslide, and he's going to keep talking about himself in the third person. They're going to make the right decision. They're going to choose him. Voters are. It's going to be a land. Yeah, it's going to be a landslide. And he's going to go down in history. It's his legacy. He's not going to blow up unless he feels threatened. Now, what about the possibility, because I've read before on his taxes or business information coming out, will he blow up about that? Will he publicly melt down about that? Oh, because he's been holding on. You know, it feels like that person's like this, holding on. They're lying. I'm rich. I'm really rich. I'm really, really, really rich. No, he's just gonna lie. You could hold a paper in front of him that says, "This is all you're worth." You could hold it right in front of him and he'd say, "That's fake." Whatever he doesn't like, he just says it's not true. It is exhausting. This is malignant narcissism. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting. Yay. Thank you guys for protecting me on that one. Because, my, sorry, I was checking to make sure my microphone was still in place. Okay, let's check on Mrs. Ginny Thomas. Ginny Virginia Thomas. She is I'm sorry, I'll tell you right now, she is a nasty piece of work. She had the audacity to phone Anita Hill and left a message on her machine saying, "Yeah, you should really think about coming out and apologizing for what you did to my husband. Because we both know that wasn't true. So, yeah, you should just really think about that." It's like, but, excuse you? And then she's on the committee to help. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thank you. She's on the committee to help, purge the government of never Trumpers or Ginny Thomas. Oh, there's that icky energy. I keep getting a crass expression going through my head to describe it. Let's just say she needs to not keep her head in a place that is particularly dark. Yeah, it's like this delusion. The world is far right and we were right all along, and we and now we're going through and we're going to remake the world in our image because we're the right and we are the true Christians and we are the true conservatives and we are the true believers and we are the, in the past, this is Tea Party. If not literally, it's that feeling of make sure you get every last conservative judge there you can, overturn every liberal policy, whatever advances the liberal center of the reading, whatever advances the liberals have made, get rid of it, roll it back. And if it takes authoritarianism, it takes authoritarianism. Someone has to stand up and stop the destruction of this country. We're not living in separate realities. It's just it's too easy to live in, it's too easy to surround yourself with people who never question you. It's too easy to listen to Fox News all day long and not even hear about what's going on. I mean, I don't like Fox News, but the main place I get my news is actually probably not the main, yeah, I get a lot of news off of the news app on Apple, and there are just as many Fox News stories as there are NBC or Huffington Post or Washington Post or New York Times or, And some of the, some of the titles, it's just like, ugh. So I'll go and I'll read the articles. What are they saying? So, yeah, maybe I'm procrastinating because I don't want to read on this woman. She's so awful. She's so awful. Ginny Thomas, base of the read. Yes, now we have this is just more of the authoritarian. This is the same. Authoritarian. Now we have the power, remake everything, change the judges, stand for Trump. If hanging above it, what goes around comes around. If you have ever been a never Trumper, you're going to get hurt now because all hail the Orange Führer. And if he started calling himself a Führer, I don't think this woman would bat an eye. Near future. Well, the rise of the power of Democrats is going to start encroaching. It doesn't feel like it's dwarfing, but it's starting to encroach, and it's just going to get more and more and more. And oh, she's not going to like that. Home environment. I am the center of the universe, my friend, my president, my thinking. I am right. I am absolutely right. I'm it. Do not question me. My husband is a Supreme Court justice. He's a judge. I'm a judge. I'm just not a legal judge. We wouldn't be friends. Let's just, yeah. The Constitution, pff. Yeah, exactly, Gary, exactly. Hopes and fears. That they're not going to be able to get enough done, make enough changes before those evil liberals come. This is a card of disappointment, but this doesn't feel like these being knocked down. It feels like you try to kick them down, but they just keep cropping back up like weeds. Those liberal policies, those, how dare women have the right to choose what to do with their own bodies? How dare, gay people have rights to marry? What we see. Yeah, if anyone listening at home and not watching, this is a full card. I'm just going to leave it at that. Final outcome for Ginny Thomas. Interesting. Well, it ends with the Three of Cups, which is Democrats celebrating. But I'm curious about this because that feels, the King of Swords is often a card of the investigator. And all of these, but these are so many cases. So I wonder if it's her husband ruling on cases or if they're under investigation. Let's ask. But she is absolutely convinced. Like she is more sure of her views than Trump. At least Trump will just tell you you're wrong, just gaslight you. But this, it feels like she will bully you until you back down. Ugh. Okay, so is this just stuff her husband is working on, or is this her under investigation, them under investigation, Trump under investigation? What have we got here? Oh, the arrogance. Oh my gosh. The energy of this woman is just... I'm sitting pretty there, and I'm chosen by God, and I'm the judge, and I'm the I, me, my. No, she's going to, no, I think this has to do with, final outcome is going to be stuff that comes up against Trump and is in the Supreme Court. And her views of how things are and how they should be, the Democrats are going to gain some power. She's going to lose her position of influence in supporting the president because he's not going to be the president. And she's going to give money to Republicans to try to get them back in power, but it's not going to work very well at all. So I'm just getting her getting out of power and just being like, oh, obviously they've rigged the system, or those liberals, they're the worst of the worst of the worst, blah, blah, blah. I, me, mine. Yeah. Yep. Alrighty. Well, that's today. That is all I'm going to read on today. And I'm going to thank you all for being here. If you would like to stay for another just couple of minutes, you are more than welcome to, because I'm going to tell you something I find really interesting from this book about Lent and about how they survived. People 1,000 years ago survived this time of year. And it's not very long. It'll just take me a couple of minutes, but I just want to let you know that I am very grateful you have been here. So, why, baby, I have read on Trump's taxes. Matter of fact, I just said earlier that on Sunday the 23rd, I did a whole bunch of stuff about Supreme Court and Trump tax and business oversight and what have you. So you can check it out. It is right there. Okay. You are most welcome to everybody. So, thank you so much to our moderators, to our troll slayers. We could not do this without, I couldn't, absolutely couldn't. Okay. This is a book that came out around the year 2000, where these two guys, they basically, in England, they went and found the oldest records that they could find. And there were some really interesting things about it. This book is worth reading. You can tell how long I've had this, how many times I've reread it. But there's some interesting things in this book. This is about what life was like at the turn of the first millennium, an Englishman's world. And there are just a couple of things I wanted to share. The first, because they actually used the Julius work calendar, this page. It was produced in the writing studio of Canterbury Cathedral sometime around the year 1020. So yeah, 1,000 years ago. So it talks about the different people and what they do, and so that was literally made 1,000 years ago this year. So, but talking about, there were just a couple of points about that. A lot of them, it is generally believed that we are taller than our ancestors, but it's really the malnourished and overcrowded inhabitants of Georgian or Victorian England that became shorter. So that's a fallacy. But I obviously can't, I don't know where it is right now, but the point is that there's so little information from back then that it was like 6 bankers' boxes full of stuff, and that's kind of all we have. That's about how much information we have about 1,000 years ago. There's just not much. And they were able to piece together so much. But the main things I wanted to talk about today was that Lent, which starts today, Lent made a virtue out of necessity, because this time of year, it occurred like now in the final months of winter, because this time of year the barns and the granaries were getting bare. And they turned this fasting process into elevating to it, the concerns of the higher plane, personal purification, a way to get God on your side. Perhaps choosing a lack would induce God to give plenty. And there was also back then a rhythm of fasting and feasting that was much more pronounced than what we have going on today. So at this time of year, when food was getting scarce, they would scavenge the wood and for anything. Charred acorns, beans, peas, even bark could be ground down to supplement flour when grain stocks grew low. They would scour the hedgerows. The hedgerows are, that I keep showing you guys that you keep seeing that those bushes out here. That it's like a demarcation between lands. That's in England you get those, but they are more wild, and you get more weeds and herbs and all that kind of stuff. Borders around the fields, yeah. So they would scour those hedgerows for herbs, roots, nettles, wild grasses, anything to allay pangs of starvation. What makes bitter things sweet? Hunger. So they, and it goes into kind of what they ate, but it's the fact that they made it, that Lent really was made out of making a virtue out of necessity, which I think was rough hedges full of rose hips and blackberries and sloe. Absolutely, absolutely. So here they talk about specifically in July, but this also applies to now. But in July it was called the Hungry Gap because a lot of the spring crops had not yet ripened. And the first great harvest of the year was for hay, because they needed to get the grass cut and dried before the rain could spoil it. And since most of that, it all went to feed animals, the midsummer harvest basically produced little or no food for humans. And July was the toughest month and became known as the Hungry Gap. Now, the last thing I'll share here is there was this thing called crazy bread. Okay, so I explained how, they'd run out of things and they would go and, scour for whatever they could find. So there are, like the Brule, the Elder, those paintings showing villagers kind of losing their minds kind of thing. The crazed rural festivals. Country folk wrapped up in fits of mass hysteria, it's delirium. It was a slender diet, being lightheaded through a lack of food, but also, of course, the ergot that flowered on rye as it grew moldy was a source of LSD. And the hallucinogenic lift was accentuated by some of the hedgerow herbs and grains, poppies, hemp, darnel, and were scavenged, dried, and ground up to produce a medieval hash brownie known as crazy bread. So, basically people, reeling down the village lane, but really making bread out of anything you could find. So, yeah, it was awful to get through those lean times. And there really was a feast and famine way of living. So that's what I wanted to share with you, because as we begin Lent, I just wanted to share kind of just a viewpoint of what they were dealing with 1,000 years ago. And I know for Lent, I personally I usually take it as a way to do something a little bit more structured, or sometimes replace something with something else. I find it just useful. So this year I'm eating a lot of, I'm going to be eating a lot of soup, a lot of different kinds of vegetable soup during Lent, and try to keep an eye on my calories. But also the thought of that that crazy bread and that sort. There is soup back in the monasteries. Matter of fact, there's a cookbook out there. It was actually made by some modern day monks of all different kinds of soups that they eat. So very simple, more simple fare. So anyway, there we go. Eat more whole foods. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for staying. I just thought you might want to know. And GM Dave saying lysergic acid by itself is not a pleasant experience, more like a psychotic episode. I'd like to give up the Trump administration. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And I will be back here tomorrow. And same pumpkin time, same pumpkin channel. And we will get through this, okay? All right. Just hang in there. Keep breathing. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Watch out for the crazy bed. Absolutely. Okay. Bye-bye.